This lesson is dedicated to learning ng-switch, which is basically a switch statement in JavaScript turned into an Angular directive. So what we're going to investigate and use it for is our data set currently has this promo property. So we're going to change our promo over to have some string values. So we're going to have a promo called new, and on our just chocolate, we're going to say that this is a limited edition. So we're going to have two different values, limited or new, and this is then going to allow us to change a label next to the title of that particular donut. Now, if we save things out, this is going to throw an error because promo is expected to be a Boolean inside of our donuts model. So we could change this over to a string. However, if you're fairly new to TypeScript, I'm going to show you something a bit more powerful and a bit more type safe, because we can, of course, go into this and change it to any string that we want, which isn't really that great. So we have the word new, we have the word limited. We can, in fact, use the word new, and we can then specify a pipe to say promo is either going to be new or the word limited. And of course, it remains optional with the question mark. We can then save this out. And now you can see that we have a slight visual change. We have gray borders around the first two. And that is because in our donut card, we're just looking to see if that promo property exists. We don't really care too much if it's a limited or a new product. We're going to just highlight it anyway. We could write an expression to say, does the donuts promo equal new? Then we could hit save, and you can see that the second item is also highlighted. We could then say, or donut.promo equals, and then limited. We can then save this out. We then have our state again with both products as a gray border. But that means that if we then add something else in the future, we're then going to have to come back into this piece of code and add a condition to add a class name for everything. So I'm just going to assume that if it's a promo, we want to somewhat highlight it. So let's save that and close it off. So our promo is now strictly the word new or limited, or it's undefined, which is why it's optional. So we can close off our donut model, which means now if we start to change our text, we can then see a red underline. It must be of type limited, new, or undefined. This is also great because if we clear this out, you can see that we are then given both of these choices. So this is another feature of TypeScript, and I think it pretty much sells itself on why it's useful here. So we don't need this donut list component anymore. Each donut card is being rendered, so let's go and open up our donut card. Inside of here, we have our donut card name. So what we're going to do is add a small label next to the name of each donut. So let's say span. We can close this off. Now inside of here, we're just going to add new for now, and we can then add a class name. Let's add donut-card-label, which means that we need to scroll down into our styles. I'm going to add this underneath the name. We can say -label, and we can then add some styles. So we're going to add a border. This is going to be 1 pixels solid, and the hex code for this is the top one, C14583. So we can select this. We can then say border-radius. Give this a value of 4 pixels. Padding, we're just going to keep as 0, and then 4 pixels, which is going to apply a left and right padding. Margin-left of 5 pixels just to push it away from our text. We can make the font size slightly smaller. I'm going to give this a value of 12. Finally, we can add a color, and we're also going to use C14583. So when we hit save, we then have our new. Now, obviously, our data set suggests otherwise. Not all of these items are new. So how do we fix this? We can go and add an ng-switch, which is essentially a switch statement in JavaScript. Now, this is where our friend ng-container comes in, because we've already learned about this, and this allows us to then essentially create a virtual element that doesn't get rendered, which enables us to declare our ng-switch on. We can then add our element back inside. So essentially what we want to do is create a switch statement, and we want to switch on the donut.promo value. So this then allows us to create a case, much like we would in JavaScript. And like ng-if and ng-for, we need to use that asterisk syntax. So we can then create an ng-switch case. In this example, if we were to type the word in new, this is trying to look for a JavaScript variable. So we in fact need to pass in a string value, which looks something like this. Now I've added a space here deliberately. just to show you the difference in quotes. If I hit save, this is going to reformat things, and you can see that we are passing in a string for the value to then check. What's great is our switch case is now working, and you can see that we have this new value for our glazed fudge item, which if we go into our donut list, we have our glazed fudge and promo of new. So that's working correctly. This then allows us to take our span tag. We can add the same one underneath. We can change this text over to limited. We can, of course, change our property value over to limited as well. We can then save this out, and you can see that our Just Chocolate is limited edition. Our glazed fudge is new. So our switch case essentially allows us to conditionally supply a template. And this is important because this asterisk, of course, means a template in Angular. And the template here is just our span tag. We're then saying, I want to switch on our donut promo. If the value is new, render the element that I've bound our ng switch case to. If the value is limited, render this element. We could, of course, use another ng container or an ng template, and we could just switch the piece of text instead of the entire element. Now, the reason I've done this is because we could create a modifier, perhaps, if we wanted to create another class. This would then allow us to style them a little bit differently. So we could override this and we could say the color equals red and the border color also equals red. So when we save things out, you can see that we have that conditional style being applied to that one element. So it's completely up to you what you want to do with your ng switch. This is a great way that we can then supply some elements to easily be conditionally rendered based on the data that we are passing. Now there's one final thing that I want to show you before we close this video off, and that is the ng switch case default. This is a simple attribute that we can add, and all I'm going to do inside is add the word nothing special ... We can also add a class of donut-card-label. So when we hit save, we then have a nothing special. Now the way that we can check this works is we can go and add some more data. So let's go and add some more data just so we can, one, make our application look a bit better. We can add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 new characters. For this, we're going to call this the Sour Supreme. The icon as well is going to be Sour-Supreme. The price, we can change this to 139. For the description, we can add for the Sour Advocate. We're going to add one more product and then carry on with our coding. For this, we are going to add the Zesty Lemon. Underneath, we can change our icon over to the Zesty-Lemon. For our ID, we can also specify 6 different characters. For the price, we'll change this back to 129. And for the description, we can say delicious, luscious lemon. So now when we hit save, we're going to see 2 new products, of course, but then all of them that are not in the promo have nothing special, and nothing special next to them. So we're not going to keep our nothing special, but we are going to keep our new and our limited flags so that they appear on any products that we decide to make limited edition or perhaps new. So I hope you enjoyed this video. ng switch is really nice. It has a definite use case in great little features like this. So in the next lesson, of course, we're going to expand this asterisk ng switch syntax into an ng template form and investigate it in its expanded, more advanced form so that you can go ahead and use it if you'd like.